There's a quiet kind of liberation that arises, not when you gain control, but when you release the need for it. Think about how often we grip tightly to outcomes, worrying about what might collapse tomorrow, trying to predict every twist of the path ahead. But the truth is, most of what we fear never comes to pass, and in the process, we sacrifice today's peace for a future that hasn't even arrived. Worry is like trying to carry an invisible weight. It exhausts you without ever moving you forward. It traps you in imagined futures and pulls your attention away from the strength, calm, and clarity you already hold inside. But something shifts when you choose to let go, when you stop resisting the flow of life and begin to move with it instead. You create space, and in that space, life begins to meet you with unexpected grace. Not because you forced it, but because you stopped standing in its way. In this video, we'll explore 7 timeless lessons from Buddhist philosophy, teachings that gently guide us away from the chaos of overthinking and back into the stillness of the present moment. These aren't quick fixes or empty mantras. They are truths that, when practiced, can help you step out of fear and into a deeper sense of freedom that's always been waiting within you. Lesson 1. Fear is a seed, and what you plant, you nourish. In Buddhist philosophy, your mind isn't just a passive observer of life. It's the soil from which your entire reality grows. Every thought you water becomes a root, and fear, if left unchecked, doesn't just sit quietly in the background. It multiplies. It wraps itself around your decisions, colors your relationships, and clouds your sense of self. Fear isn't just a feeling. It's a filter, a distorted lens that makes the world look more hostile, more uncertain than it actually is. The danger? When you begin to fear something deeply, you start living as if it's already happening. You breathe life into the very thing you're trying to avoid. Picture this: you're afraid of being let go from your job. That fear shows up in small ways. Hesitation in your voice, second-guessing your ideas, playing it safe when boldness is needed, and over time, that hesitation sends signals to your team, to your boss, even to yourself, that something's off. Ironically, fear pulls you closer to the very thing you hope to escape. It happens in relationships, too. Fear of abandonment makes us cling, overthink, doubt every silence, and that tension, it doesn't build closeness. It creates distance. The relationship begins to crack, not because of what the other person did, but because fear was left to grow unchecked. But here's the truth. Buddhism reminds us of, your mind is fertile ground. It doesn't discriminate. It will grow whatever you plant. Fear, anger, doubt, or calm, clarity, and compassion. You are not a victim of your thoughts. You are the gardener. And gardening doesn't mean pretending everything is fine. It means becoming mindful of what you're watering. When fear shows up, pause, take a breath, ask, is this thought building the life I want, or slowly dismantling it? Fear thrives in the dark. But when you shine awareness on it, when you call it out, it loses its grip. You begin to see it not as a monster, but as a messenger, a chance to return to presence, a moment to re-choose peace. And once you do that, once you stop feeding the fear, you'll notice something remarkable. The world around you begins to shift. People respond differently. Opportunities flow more freely. Life softens, not because it changed, but because you did. Lesson 2. Real strength isn't in control, it's in surrender. In today's hyper-driven world, we are taught that strength looks like control. Master your routine, dominate your goals, force your future into shape, push harder, plan better, never let go. But Buddhist wisdom flips that narrative completely. It says, strength isn't about gripping tighter, it's about knowing when to release. Letting go isn't failure, it's clarity. It's recognizing that life is not something you can strangle into submission. It's something you must learn to flow with. You act with intention, but then you trust. Imagine trying to hold water in your palm. The harder you squeeze, the more it slips away. But leave your hand open and it stays. That's what surrender is. Not passivity, not weakness, but the quiet strength of someone who has done their part and knows when to step back with trust. In Buddhist philosophy, surrender isn't retreat. It's a sacred collaboration with reality. You stop resisting every twist in the road and begin walking it with grace. You stop demanding that life obey your timeline and start listening to its deeper rhythm. And here's the miracle. When you stop forcing, your energy returns, the tension lifts, your mind clears, and suddenly the world looks different. The path ahead that seemed blocked, it opens. The people you needed, they show up. The answers that felt out of reach, they find you. Not because you chased them, but because you made space for them to arrive. True surrender is not the end of effort. It's the end of struggle. And in that space of release, you don't lose control. You discover a deeper power. A power rooted not in domination, but in alignment. When you let go of needing to control everything, you begin to realize you were never meant to carry it all alone. Lesson 3. Anxiety belongs to the future. Peace belongs to now. Buddhist wisdom teaches something quietly revolutionary. Anxiety can't survive in the present moment. It feeds off anticipation, off imagined futures and worst-case scenarios. It thrives in the mental fog of what if and what might go wrong. But here's the thing, none of that is real. It's all a movie your mind is playing in advance. A script that hasn't even begun. So the next time you feel anxious, pause and ask, where is my mind right now? Chances are it's sprinting ahead, constructing stories, anticipating pain, trying to solve problems that haven't even happened. And while your attention is trapped in that illusion, you miss the only place where life is actually happening. Right here, right now. This moment, this breath is your anchor. And in this single breath, you are safe. You are whole. You are not drowning in the storm of what could be. You are resting in the stillness of what is. Buddhism calls this mindfulness. But it's not just a technique, it's a return, a coming home to your body, your breath, your being. And every time you return, you weaken the grip of anxiety. You stop pouring energy into a future that hasn't arrived and begin to reclaim your peace, one breath at a time. The mind is loud. It spins, warns, plans, panics. But the present moment, it whispers. And if you listen closely, it tells you the truth. There is nothing to fear right now. There is only this breath, this heartbeat, this quiet space where life meets you. Peace isn't a place you chase. It's a presence you remember. Lesson 4. Most of the weight you carry was never real to begin with. So much of the heaviness we feel isn't from life itself. It's from the stories we tell ourselves about what might happen. Buddhist wisdom gently reminds us our deepest anxieties rarely come from reality. They come from imagination. We become authors of endless tragedies that never take place. Sleepless nights worrying about conversations that go better than expected. Stomach knots over future disasters that never arrive. We carry these imagined fears like stones in a backpack. Heavy, invisible, and entirely optional. Why does this happen? Because the human mind is brilliant at storytelling. It's like a novelist who refuses to take a day off. It scripts scene after scene of what could go wrong. Failures, betrayals, endings, and while these stories live only in our heads, our bodies begin to react as if they're already happening. We start defending ourselves from threats that don't exist. We act tense. We close off. We brace for storms that may never come. But here's what Buddhism teaches with such clarity. Just because a thought appears doesn't mean it's the truth. The mind can imagine anything. It doesn't mean you need to live inside every script it writes. Think back. How many times have you feared a situation only to realize it wasn't nearly as bad as your mind predicted? How often has the thing you dreaded passed quietly or never happened at all? Worry distorts reality. It pulls distant fears so close that we start reacting to shadows, not facts. And in doing so, we miss what's actually here. This peaceful breath, this simple moment. So, the next time you feel yourself spiraling, pause. Take one conscious breath and gently ask, is this happening right now, or is it just a thought? That one question can return you to the present, and the present is almost always gentler than your imagination. Let those imagined burdens fall away. You never needed to carry them in the first place. And once you stop living inside your mind's predictions, you'll notice life feels lighter, kinder, and far more real. Lesson 5. Letting go of control is how you begin to trust. There's a humbling but liberating truth at the heart of Buddhist wisdom. You can't surrender to life while clinging tightly to the illusion of control. You can't hold the steering wheel and still trust the road will carry you. Control and faith move in opposite directions. The more tightly you grip control, the further you drift from trust, and the more you lean into trust, the more you're asked to let go. Trying to micromanage every detail of your life, every outcome, every emotion, every person is like quietly telling the universe, I don't trust you. It's a subtle form of fear. A fear that without your constant effort, things will collapse. But the question is, has all that control ever brought you real peace? Or has it just left you exhausted? Often, the more we try to hold everything together, the more we feel like we're falling apart inside. We confuse hypervigilance with strength, when really, it's often anxiety in disguise. Control creates a false sense of safety, but it comes at a cost. Constant tension, fatigue, and a mind that never rests. Faith, in contrast, is not weakness. It's not blind surrender. It's an inner knowing that says, I've done my part. Now, I allow life to do the rest. It's powerful because it frees you from the trap of obsessing over every detail. It lets you act with clarity, but without being attached to how things must unfold. Faith creates room for mystery, for timing and outcomes beyond what your plans could ever predict. Buddhism teaches us to release this attachment, not by withdrawing from life, but by participating with presence and humility. You plant your seeds, you show up, you nurture your effort, but you don't dig up the roots every day to check if they're growing. Some things take time, some answers arrive only in silence. Some outcomes are better left to the quiet intelligence of life itself. So ask yourself, are you gripping so tightly that you've forgotten how to breathe? Are you trying so hard to force a future that you've stopped believing in the wisdom of the unfolding? Letting go isn't defeat. It's an act of courage. It's choosing to meet life halfway, doing your part, then stepping back in peace. Because that's where real strength lives, not in control, but in trust. And that trust is where peace begins. Lesson 6. Letting go isn't the end of caring. It's the beginning of growing. Worry has a subtle way of closing in around you. It doesn't slam the door all at once. It creeps in slowly. One overly cautious decision here, one moment of overthinking there. Before you realize it, your world has gotten smaller. You start labeling fear as being careful. You shrink your voice to avoid judgment. You dim your dreams so they don't seem too risky. But here's the quiet truth. Worry doesn't protect, it limits. It places invisible fences around your potential and convinces you they're for your own good. It's like walking through life with your shoulders constantly hunched, always expecting something to go wrong, always bracing. And in that tension, you stop growing. You stop reaching. You stop being fully alive. But when you begin to let go, something beautiful happens. You stop trying to control every ripple and start paying attention to what's actually yours. Your breath, your response, your presence. your kindness. You begin to shift from surviving to living, from managing life to dancing with it. Picture yourself standing in a flowing river. Try to trap the water in your hands, and it slips away faster. But the moment you stop grasping, when you trust, when you float, the river carries you. That is surrender. That is growth. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means choosing freedom over fear. And the more you release the grip on outcomes, on old wounds, on imagined dangers, the more space you create inside yourself. Space for courage. Space for joy. Space to expand. Letting go is not passive. It is powerful. It is a bold return to the present moment where life is no longer something you brace for. It becomes something you take part in. Ask yourself honestly, how much of your energy is spent worrying about what could go wrong? And what if that same energy could be redirected into creating something meaningful? Into showing up fully in your relationships, into simply trusting the process. When you loosen your grip on how life should unfold and begin moving in rhythm with how it really is, something changes. You no longer feel like you are carrying the world. You begin to feel carried by it. Letting go is not weakness. It is the quiet courage to stop playing small, to stop hiding in fear. It is the moment you stop shrinking and begin expanding with openness, with trust, with a heart that is ready to grow again. Take a deep breath. Feel the space that opens inside you. That space is where your freedom begins. Lesson 7. Life begins to flow. Not when you control it, but when you stop trying to. One of the most overlooked teachings in Buddhist philosophy is also one of its most freeing. Life does not need your constant interference to work. In fact, the more we try to control every detail, every outcome, every emotion, every response, the more resistance we create. The more we hold tightly, the more chaos we unknowingly invite. But when you learn to step back, not from carelessness, but from trust, something beautiful begins to unfold. Life starts moving with a rhythm much wiser than any plan you could build. Decisions become clearer, paths open. The right people and the right timing begin to arrive, not through force, but through alignment. Yet this idea feels deeply uncomfortable for many of us. We have been conditioned to believe that control equals safety, that if we do not double-check, overthink, and manage everything, everything will fall apart. And so we interfere, we hover, we push, we stress. We try to force conversations, chase outcomes, and rush what is not ready. But while doing this, we drain our energy and disturb the same peace we are trying to find. Buddhist wisdom offers another way, a softer, wiser path of non-interference, not as running away from life, but as an act of deep trust. Just as water finds its way through the rocks, life finds its flow when we stop blocking it with fear. The more we interfere, the more we stir up the mud. But when we step back, clarity returns. Think of all the times you tried to force something into place, a relationship, a job, a decision, only to see it break under pressure. Then remember those rare moments when you finally surrendered, when you breathed, released your grip, and allowed life to be. And things began to align, almost naturally. That was not coincidence. That was space. Your worry, your control, your constant mental rehearsal, these are like stones thrown into a clear stream. They disturb the current, but when you stop interfering, the water becomes still again. Life becomes smoother. Control may look like power, but it is often fear in disguise. And fear, when left unchecked, takes away the very outcomes you are trying to reach. So, how do you shift? You begin with observation. Notice when you are holding too tightly, checking your phone for the 5th time, overthinking a conversation, pressuring someone or something to move before it is ready. And ask yourself, what would it look like if I loosened my grip just a little? Non-interference is not laziness, it is maturity. It means understanding what is truly yours to do and what is not. You plant the seed, you care for it, but you do not pull it out of the soil to see if it is growing. Growth, real growth, needs patience, not force. Picture holding a butterfly in your palm. If you squeeze in fear that it will fly away, you will crush it. But if you hold it gently, it may stay a little longer. And even if it flies away, it might return because it remembers the safety of your open hand. This is how life works. The tighter you hold on, the more things slip away. But when you create space, everything begins to breathe, and what is meant for you starts to grow. That is when change happens. Life begins to support you. Energy returns, and solutions appear. The right words, the right timing, the right people, they all begin showing up without force. You stop feeling like the world is on your shoulders, and for the first time, maybe in a long time, you feel supported. At the center of our interference is often fear. Fear of loss, failure, or not being enough. But life does not expect you to be perfect. It asks you to trust, to breathe, and to let go of the belief that you must do everything alone. So, take a moment to reflect. Is there something you are holding on to too tightly? A decision you are forcing? A conversation that keeps repeating in your mind? Honestly, ask yourself, what would it feel like to let go? Not because you are giving up, but because you trust. Because when you stop pushing, you start receiving. When you stop interfering, life begins to work with you, not against you. You do not need to control every detail. Sometimes the wisest move is to take a deep breath, do your part, and step back. Trust the flow. Ride the wave. Let life meet you in the space you create by letting go. You are not here to control the ocean. You are here to learn how to float. Bonus lesson. Choose what matters, not what is easy. Imagine walking down a foggy path where the next step is not clear and the air is full of uncertainty. Most people stop there. They turn back, not because they are weak, but because they were taught to choose comfort over truth. But Buddhism teaches something different. It invites you to keep moving forward, letting what truly matters guide you, even when the ground feels unstable. This is where many of us struggle. We mistake comfort for peace. But comfort is not always peace. Sometimes it is only avoidance wearing a mask. It is staying where things feel familiar, even when they do not fulfill us, because the unknown feels too risky. So we settle. We cling to habits that numb us, relationships that drain us, routines that keep us small, all in the name of safety. But here is the problem. What feels comfortable often keeps you stuck, while what truly matters asks for change. Growth never comes without discomfort. Wisdom does not come without difficult questions. And peace, the kind that comes from within, only appears when we choose what is important over what is easy. Think of a seed buried in the soil. If it stayed comfortable, it would never open. But by breaking, it begins to rise. It pushes through the earth, reaches for the light, and through that struggle becomes what it was meant to be. That is how the soul grows. It asks you, what do I value more? Short-term relief or long-term alignment with who I really am? Choosing what matters means showing up for your growth, even when it feels uncomfortable. It means sitting with painful emotions instead of running from them. It means stepping away from distractions and choosing presence. It means having difficult conversations, setting boundaries, walking away from what no longer matches your path, not because it is easy, but because your peace depends on it. This path will not always feel good. It may not always feel clear, but it will always feel true. So ask yourself now, what in your life feels comfortable but is slowly taking your peace? What are you holding on to out of habit, fear, or familiarity? And what would it look like to choose differently, not carelessly, but with awareness? Choosing what matters often means choosing stillness over speed, silence over noise, integrity over approval, presence over escape. And in those small, quiet choices, we begin to change, not just how we live, but who we become. You are not here to stay small. You are not here to stay safe at the cost of your soul. You are here to wake up, to grow, to unfold, to return to the simplicity of your inner truth. The journey may not be easy, but it will be worth it, because in the end, comfort may keep you warm, but it will not set you free. Choosing what matters will. So today, take a breath, honestly look at your life, and ask yourself, not what feels good, but what feels right. Then trust that answer, even if it feels uncomfortable, because that is the path, that is the practice, and that is where peace begins. Conclusion. So now, the question is not, what do I need to control? It becomes, what am I finally ready to release? Because true freedom does not come from holding tighter. It comes from the quiet courage to let go, not carelessly, but with clarity. Not in weakness, but with trust. If these lessons connected with you, take a moment now to pause, breathe, reflect, and gently release something you have been holding that no longer serves you. It might be a fear, a belief, or an old story that has kept you small. You do not need to change everything at once. Just begin with one breath, one choice, one small act of trust. If this message brought you clarity or peace, consider liking this video to support the channel and let the algorithm know it matters. Share it with someone you care about, who may be quietly struggling to let go. And if you want more wisdom rooted in Buddhist philosophy, mindfulness, and inner strength, subscribe to the channel. Each week we will walk this path together, toward stillness, toward presence, and toward a lighter way of living. Because when you stop forcing, life begins to move. And when you trust it, it starts to meet you right where you are.